Hello and welcome. We're about to take our first step into the huge and, frankly, super exciting world of data, and our guide for this journey is a programming language called R. Don't worry, it's accessible, it's powerful, and it might just be the best starting point for anyone. So let's get you set up and see what it can really do.
So, you've probably heard the term data science thrown around everywhere, right? It sounds big, maybe a little complicated, maybe even a bit intimidating. If you're anything like I was, you might be thinking, okay, this is a great skill to have, but where on earth do I even begin? Well, the good news is, you're in exactly the right place.
And the answer, my friend, is R. It's an open-source programming language, which is just a fancy way of saying it's completely free. But more importantly, it was built specifically for working with data. You don't need a computer science degree to get started, because this is literally what it was designed for.
Okay, first things first. Before we can fly, we need to get familiar with our setup. Think of this next part as getting settled into the cockpit for your data science journey.
To get started, you actually need two pieces of software, and they work together perfectly. First, there's R itself. Think of that as the powerful engine. It does all the heavy lifting, all the calculations. Then there's RStudio, which is your cockpit. It's the user-friendly dashboard where you'll actually write code, see your charts, and manage everything. You need the engine, and you need the cockpit to fly. Simple as that.
And getting them is just a simple two-step process. Seriously. First, you'll download the R engine from a place called Cran. That's the official, totally safe home for all things R. Second, you'll head over to the Posit website. They're the folks who make RStudio, and grab their free desktop version.
And that's it. You are ready to go.
All right, now that we're all set up, let's learn the language. We're going to see how we can actually have a conversation with our data, ask it questions and get answers back using a fantastic set of tools.
Now, one of the most powerful, and I mean game-changing tools in R is this little symbol, the pipe operator. The best way to think of it is like an assembly line. You take your raw data, you put it on the line, and the pipe just sends it from one step to the next. This simple idea lets you write code that reads like a story, from left to right. It's awesome.
So let's put this into practice with a fun, built-in data set all about penguins. To talk to our data, we're going to use something called dplyr. It's the essential toolkit for data manipulation. Dplyr is what's known as a package, which is basically an add-on that gives R a whole bunch of new superpowers.
So here's a quick peek at the raw data. As you can see, we've got different species of penguins, their body mass in grams, their sex, and the year the data was collected. Our goal here is to ask this raw data a very specific question.
And here's our question written out in R code. Just look at how readable this is. It literally says, take the penguins dataset, then, that's our pipe operator, filter it to only show the rows where the body mass G is greater than 6,000. It's almost plain English, isn't it?
And bam, just like that, here's our answer. R sifted through hundreds of rows and found the exact two penguins that match our criteria. I mean, that's the power right there. We asked a clear question and got a direct, instant answer. So cool.
Getting answers in a table is great, but what if we want to see the patterns? That's where visualization comes in. It's less about asking direct questions and more about letting the data tell its own story through pictures.
For that, we use another incredible package called ggplot2. It's built on this really elegant idea called the grammar of graphics. But honestly, the best way to think about it is like building with Legos. You start with a base, that's your data, and then you just add layers, piece by piece, to build any chart you can possibly imagine.
Okay, let's see how this works. Step 1 is the foundation. We start with the ggplot function, and we tell it two main things. First, use the penguins data, and second, map the aesthetics, the visual parts. We're going to map bill length to the x-axis and bill depth to the y-axis. This gives us a blank canvas, but R now knows what goes where.
Now for the first Lego brick, we add a layer. And notice that plus sign, that's how we stack layers in GGG2. We add geom_point, which just tells R, okay, on that canvas you made, I want you to represent my data as points. And just like that, poof, our data appears.
And the cool part is, we don't have to stop there. We can just keep adding layers. Let's add geom smooth to fit a nice trend line through the data. Just by adding one more piece, we've revealed a deeper story about the relationship between bill length and depth. This whole layered approach is exactly what makes ggplot2 so incredibly flexible and powerful.
All right, so we've seen how things work when they go right, but what about when they go wrong? And they will go wrong. This next part is absolutely crucial, because learning to code is also learning to embrace the error message. Look, your code will break. It's not a question of if, it is a question of when, and that is totally okay. It happens to absolutely everyone, from beginners to seasoned pros. The key isn't to avoid errors, but to understand what they're trying to tell you.
The trick is to see errors not as failures, but as guides. Yeah, really. Take this very common ggplot2 error. The message might look like a bunch of gibberish at first, but it's often pointing you right at the issue. In this case, it's just a forgotten plus sign between our plot layers. The fix is usually something small and surprisingly simple. And what happens when you can't spot the fix yourself? You do what every single programmer does no matter how much experience they have. You copy that error message and you paste it into a search engine. This quote from a fellow learner just says it all. Googling truly is a skill you pick up from programming. It's not cheating. It is literally part of the job. Wow, we've covered a lot. Setting up your tools, talking to your data, drawing with it, and even how to handle things when they inevitably break. This is your foundation, and believe me, your journey is just beginning. And you know, the best part is, you're not alone. The R community is incredibly supportive and helpful. To keep going, definitely check out the R for Data Science online book. It's basically the Bible for this stuff. Try the Swirl package to learn R interactively right inside your own console. And when you want to test your new skills, you have to jump into #TidyTuesday. It's this awesome weekly event where a new, real-world data set gets posted every single week for you to explore.
So, there you have it. You now have the fundamental tools to start exploring data and uncovering all the amazing stories hidden inside. The only question left is, what story will you tell?